did one man's rise to power change the course of history. In the late 18th century, a young man named Napoleon Bonaparte was born in Corsica, an island that had just been claimed by France. This remote Mediterranean upbringing, far from the center of French power, might have seemed an unlikely start for a future leader. Yet in the midst of the turmoil and chaos of the French Revolution, Napoleon saw opportunity. His exceptional military acumen quickly propelled him into the spotlight. With a keen understanding of warfare and an ability to rally his troops, he was able to seize victories that others deemed impossible. His early triumphs in Italy and Egypt not only stamped his mark on the French military, but also positioned him as a rising star within the political realm. Napoleon, a man from Corsica, was on his way to becoming a legend. What makes a military genius? This question brings us to the heart of Napoleon Bonaparte's story. His military campaigns were not only about conquest, but also about a deep understanding of strategy and tactics. Born into a time of revolutionary change, Napoleon proved himself to be an extraordinary leader, not just in politics but also on the battlefield. His keen intellect, combined with his relentless ambition, propelled him to the forefront of military innovation. One of the key aspects of Napoleon's military genius was his ability to adapt. He was renowned for his flexibility in the face of changing circumstances. He would often alter his battle plans at the last minute based on the conditions on the battlefield. This ability to adapt quickly and decisively put him leagues ahead of his opponents. Napoleon was also a great innovator. He pioneered the use of the corps system, which allowed him to move his armies with unprecedented speed and efficiency. This tactical innovation revolutionized warfare and is still in use by modern armies today. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of Napoleon's military genius was his ability to inspire his troops. He was a charismatic leader who knew how to motivate his men, often leading from the front and sharing in their hardships. His soldiers were fiercely loyal, and their devotion was a key factor in many of his victories. Napoleon's campaigns were epic in scale and ambition. From the snowy fields of Russia to the sun-baked sands of Egypt, his armies marched across Europe, bringing entire nations under his control. His victories at Austerlitz and Jena, among others, stand as testament to his strategic brilliance. But it wasn't just about conquest. Napoleon also knew the importance of winning hearts and minds. He often implemented reforms in the territories he conquered, aiming to modernize their societies and win their loyalty. This combination of military might and political savvy made him a force to be reckoned with. From Italy to Egypt, Napoleon's victories echoed his name across the continents. This man, who started life on a small island in the Mediterranean, would come to dominate the world stage, his name forever linked with the concept of military genius. What happens when ambition knows no bounds? This question sets the stage for our look into Napoleon Bonaparte's reign as emperor. His thirst for power and dominance, his vision for a united Europe, and the stage set for the Napoleonic Wars all paint a picture of an era marked by grandeur and conflict. Napoleon, having proven his military genius and won the hearts of the French people, was now ready to ascend to the ultimate seat of power. In a grand ceremony in the historic Cathedral of Notre Dame, he was crowned Emperor of the French. But not just any emperor. Napoleon, ever the showman, took the crown from the hands of the Pope himself and placed it on his own head. This bold act was a clear statement. He was no puppet of the church, but a ruler in his own right. Yet the crowning was just the beginning. Napoleon's ambition knew no bounds. He dreamed of a unified Europe, a vast empire under his rule. This vision was not merely a dream, but a strategic plan, meticulously crafted and boldly pursued. From the Iberian Peninsula to the icy regions of Russia, Napoleon sought to extend his influence, drawing the map of Europe anew with each conquest. But with great power comes great resistance. The other European powers were not ready to bow down to the French emperor. Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia banded together, setting the stage for the Napoleonic Wars. These conflicts, marked by sweeping battles and shifting alliances, would come to define Europe during the early 19th century. Napoleon's reign was a time of grandeur, ambition, and conflict. His vision of a unified Europe under his rule was about to be tested on the battlefield. As we turn the pages of history, we find a man who dared to dream big, who dared to challenge the status quo, and whose actions would shape the course of history. Napoleon's dream of a unified Europe under his rule was about to face the test of time. Can a titan fall? As we journey further into the life of Napoleon Bonaparte, we find that even the greatest of figures are not immune to downfall. Napoleon, the architect of empires, the military genius, the emperor himself, found himself on a path of decline. It was a series of setbacks that first hinted at the crumbling of his empire. The resistance of nations he sought to conquer, the growing discontent at home, and the strain of endless warfare all began to chip away at his once formidable stature. But it was the Battle of Waterloo that proved to be his ultimate undoing. In the heart of Belgium, on a fateful day in June 1815, Napoleon faced off against the Allied forces of the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Hanover, Nassau, and Brunswick. Despite his best efforts and strategic prowess, he was defeated. This loss marked a turning point, a point from which there would be no return. In the aftermath of Waterloo, Napoleon was forced to abdicate the throne. The man who had once held the reins of an empire found himself stripped of power, his dreams of a unified Europe shattered. The final blow came with his exile to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic. The once unstoppable Napoleon was now a fallen titan, exiled to a remote island. What does history remember of Napoleon? This question invites a myriad of responses, all pointing to a legacy that has outlived the man himself. Napoleon Bonaparte, a name synonymous with power, ambition, and revolution, has left indelible marks on the sands of time. In the realm of warfare, Napoleon was a game-changer. He revolutionized military organization and training, sponsored the development of mobile artillery, and emphasized the value of morale in warfare. His strategic genius still serves as a blueprint in military academies worldwide. Beyond the battlefield, Napoleon's influence permeated the very fabric of society. His introduction of the Napoleonic Code, a civil law code, brought sweeping reforms to systems of law across Europe. It championed equality before the law, secured property rights, and abolished feudal privileges, setting the stage for modern legal systems. In governance, Napoleon centralized administrative functions, established an efficient tax collection system, and promoted public education. The echoes of his administrative acumen resonate in modern governance structures. But perhaps the most enduring aspect of Napoleon's legacy is the idea he represented. A man of humble origins rising to become a ruler of nations, he embodied the spirit of social mobility and meritocracy. Napoleon's life was a symphony of triumphs and tragedies, but his influence continues to shape the world. His story stands as a testament to the power of ambition, the fragility of power, and the enduring impact of a single individual on the course of history.